It's time to go into business for yourself. Get ready for another episode of the Franchise Academy podcast. Here's your host, small business and franchise expert, Tom Scarda.
Welcome to the Franchise Academy. My name is Tom Scarda. I'm a franchise advisor and coach, and I match people with franchise opportunities based on skills, personality, goals, kind of like the eHarmony of business is what I like to call it. Been doing it for 19 years and just love helping people make that move from signing the back of the paycheck to signing the front of the paycheck. Today, I have somebody who has made that move in a grand way. So I'm so excited about this. So I have with me today Dinesh Goswami. Dinesh is the owner of more than 150 franchises in all these brands that you know. Popeyes, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, Checkers. And he started with one. And it's interesting because his background is, he has a degree in aeronautical engineering, and here he is in franchising, which is crazy, but awesome. And sort of like me, you know, almost everybody in franchising makes a 180 degree turn, going from a career to business ownership. So I want to welcome in Dinesh. Thank you. And thanks for coming to the podcast.
Pleasure to be here, Tom. And thank you for the invitation. And I'll try to share my journey and try to give your listeners an insight on what it takes to make that turn. I'm an ex-banker, aeronautical engineer, MBA in finance, have worked for major banks and did the whole corporate stint, and somewhere along the line got tired of working for the man and decided to be the man and work for myself, and that's how I made the switch. And I'll take you through my journey.
Was there one day where you woke up and said, you know, forget this banking stuff, I'm going to do something on my own? Was there like a pivotal moment that you remember?
Yeah. So, came here to study, went to school, got my education. My parents said, make sure you complete your education before you do anything else. But I always wanted to be self-employed, somehow or the other, because, I always felt when you have a job, you get paid for what that job is worth, not as an individual. So I thought my individual worth was a lot more than my paycheck. And I remember one time I went to buy a house, and the mortgage guy told me that, this is the only house you can afford. I'm like, why is that the case? And he's like, oh, this is how much money you make. And I looked, and he looked at my paycheck. And I said, if my paycheck determines where I stay, what kind of car I drive, and if somebody else is controlling that paycheck, it's not a good situation. Right. So if I want to increase my paycheck, that means I need to believe in myself and do something different than having a job, because job only pays you for that job is worth. So I said, this is not right, and I need to break this system. And I said, I need to be self-employed, because as a self-employed human being, I can control my own paycheck. I control my own destiny. Got fired a couple of times, and that belief made my belief, that instant made my belief even stronger, that I don't want anybody else to control my destiny. And so one day decided to make that jump, and did it. And yes, had a lot of sleepless nights because I was used to a paycheck coming in, and now didn't know when the next paycheck was going to come in, because now you're self-employed. But yeah, it was nerve-wracking for about 6 months, but then I had belief in myself and made it happen. So I'll take you through that journey as we talk along, like what happened and why I took that decision.
Absolutely. I mean, it's fascinating because, we're taught to go to school and get a job, be happy and shut up. That's it, right? And that's what everybody's parents tells them growing up. Go to school, get a good job, go to school. And for some people, a job and school for that matter, university is not the place for everyone. Some people need to do other things. So what was the first franchise that you purchased?
It was Popeyes.
You got
So, I want to tell the listeners that education is necessary. It gives you a head start. So once I graduated, started working for a bank, and because I graduated from a good school, have an aeronautical engineering, have an MBA in finance, right away I was taken into a quasi management position. Otherwise, if you don't have a degree, you have to start from the bottom. So because I had a degree, I got a head start, and I landed up with banking. I was used to work for a major bank, and because I had a knack for business, and at the age of 23, I had a business on the side. I was already doing it, so I had a little bit of knowledge. So I right away went into commercial lending. And what I used to tell people when they would come to me to buy a business or get funding for business, I would tell them, see, I'm giving you 80% of the money. You are investing 20% of your money. So let me do all the due diligence. If I can do the due diligence, if you let me, give me all the documents. If I am okay giving you 80% of the money, go ahead, invest in this business. If I say no, because I don't feel comfortable, don't risk your money, because I am taking more risk in this venture. Yeah, as a banker, we are not partners. We don't share in the profit, but we're giving you majority of the money. So I have to make sure that on the bank side, uh, the bank is protected. So I did thorough due diligence and told people, okay, this business can work and it will work, and I'm ready to give you money. And I kept doing that, and you know made a name for myself in the banking industry, and I slowly saw one of the Dunkin' operators who could barely write his name and speak a couple of words of English go from one Dunkin' to two Dunkins to five Dunkins to 10 Dunkins. And I'm like, if this guy can do it, I can do it too. And I'm the one who's putting the deals together for him.
Mhm.
So, that always stuck with me that, if somebody can grow, and all he was ready to do was take the risk. And sometimes when we are in a job, when you have a cushy job, you have a credit card and a company car, and you travel first class, you're used to that lifestyle. It's like, somebody, you stay in prison because you're getting fed every single day, right?
Mhm.
So, you know, and that guy was ready to take the risk. He was ready to jump into uncertainty. And when you have a job, you have that comfort zone. So I'm like, I need to get out of that comfort zone, and I need to take the risk. If this guy can do it, so can I. I'm much more educated, better looking than him, and I can speak better. So, why not take that jump? And, that's how I made the jump. One day decided I'm done with everything. I was in banking but for 15 years. And in about 2014 is when I said, okay, this is it. And yeah,
So,
so started opened my first Popeyes 2014, and then started building from there.
wow. So it's only been 10 years. Uh,
Yes,
that's
actually, I would say 2016 is when I actually called the quits. So 2014, I opened my first Popeyes on the side, and about 2016 is the day I resigned, and it was
wow.
done completely.
Amazing. So you said so many things, and it's like gold after gold in just 2 minutes. Um, and I always share with people when you're starting a business, whether you're buying a franchise or not, what you're doing is choosing uncertainty over unhappiness, right? So the unhappiness is being in that job. They're feeding you, like you said. It's Kevin O'Leary said, he's the guy that was on Shark Tank. He said that a paycheck is the medicine that they give you so you forget your dreams.
That's true.
Probably heard that, and so you that's what you were feeling at that time, and you're just a number at the business, and the company, it's like renting an apartment. You could be gone tomorrow if the landlord tells you got to move. Owning a business is like owning a house. yeah, it's a lot of work and you got to save up for the down payment and all that, but it's yours. And you know, hopefully you're going to sell it for a lot more than you paid for it, and that's the key. So so you started with one Popeyes, um, and then what was the next one?
Then we started building Popeyes. So when I was in banking, I had a very good client um, who would come to me almost every other day. He would buy a cup of coffee for himself, and he would buy a coffee for me. He would come to my office, and every day in the morning before he started working, he would come to me and he would say, Dinesh, you're in the wrong job, man. Quit. Come with me. I know how to operate the restaurants. You know how to structure them. Let's work together. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not ready right now, but I'll keep helping you. So I helped him grow his business, and
Okay.
he kept growing. So and he kept telling me that, Dinesh, you need to quit. You need to quit. And that's I said one day, I said, okay, you know what? I need to believe in this guy. I see him go from one restaurant to not 10 restaurants. So and I'm the one who's helping him get the financing and arranging the deals and everything. And I'm like, if we are together, we can do it even much better. So 2014 is, when we opened our first restaurant together. And
Mhm.
then from there, we kept opening Popeyes, 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 Popeyes. And then one day he comes to me, he's like, you know what? All our eggs are in one basket. So if tomorrow chicken flu happens or bird flu happens and there's a chicken shortage, we're kind of screwed. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. So he's like, let's get into another brand. So he thought, which brand to get in. So we said Taco Bell looks like a good brand. Mexican food, it's not demographic specific because Popeyes is little demographic specific, right? You have to get it right location wise.
Mhm.
Mexican food, everybody eats it. So there's not that much demographic challenges with Mexican food. So we said, okay, you know what? That would be a good diversification. So um, we made a few phone calls. Again, I mean, the story that I want to put together is it's good to have partners. A lot of times people think that partnership is not good, and I want to let listeners, or I want to tell listeners that partnership is good if you have the right partners.
Right.
So, uh, you know, we thought it would be better to partner with a current uh, Taco Bell franchisee
Okay.
than to go ahead and try to understand the system, and we go ahead and open our own Taco Bell and try to learn because we knew how to operate Popeyes, but Taco Bell is different. And we called this gentleman, and I won't take anybody's names because I don't know if they want their names to
Yeah.
be mentioned or not.
No, no,
So
I appreciate that. That's fine. Yeah.
so yeah, so I we called him. He said, "Oh, I don't want partner with anybody, but you look like a nice guy over the phone, so why don't you come to my house and let's sit down and talk?" So we went to his house, and after 4 hours, he was like, "Okay, let's do Taco Bells together." And you know, we we basically told him that we can help you grow, and you can see our track record. So 2018, we opened our first Taco Bell, and now we have 2019 Taco Bells. And we told him that we can help you scale, and he was like, okay, let's go for it. And he had three Taco Bells at that time, and he was doing Taco Bell since 2004. So from 2004 to 2018, he had three Taco Bells, and we come in 2018, and now we have 19 Taco Bells. Uh,
Wow.
we showed him that we can help you grow, and with us, he will grow too. And now he's a partner with us in Popeyes also. So
Yeah.
uh, so it's good to partner with people, but the right kind of people. You have to have the same goals. You need to have your future align. Your future goals should meet. Otherwise, sometimes one partner wants to grow and one wants to take it easy, and you
Right.
know so you got to make sure that you're choosing the right partner. And if you have good partners, I'm telling you, it's a blessing.
Yeah, it's more brains, it's more eyes on the deal, it's different vantage points, and it's more money in the deal. So it works to a certain degree, but if you are a person that's doing it and you want a partner because when you break it down, it's really because you fear doing it yourself, that's probably not the best idea.
Yeah, yeah.
But once you know who you are and you want to establish a business by, people will come in your path, like,
Mhm.
and you'll like what you've done. Um, did you start all of these from the ground up, or did you buy existing units that was for sale?
These were all ground ups. So later on, we started buying portfolios, but initially we were doing all ground ups. We were choosing our own location. Um, we were we were going out there, the old style. If we like a location, put a chair in front of the location and watch every car that passes by. And nowadays you have all these AI tools and all this data out there, but at that time, even 5 years, 6 years ago, it was also like a huge difference between 6 years ago and now. Uh,
Yep.
so uh, we would go take a chair, sit down at the intersection and see the make of the car that passes by and who's the passenger in the car and what's their demographic and
Oh wow.
see, spend like, go there in the morning, then go there during the lunchtime, then go there the dinner time. And that's how we pick locations.
Oh wow, that's old school for sure.
That's what, yeah. And that works till today. It works.
It does work. It does. That's fascinating to me. So, I'm sure there's been challenges or mistakes made along the way. Is there anything that you could think of that you made a mistake but then learned from that
Oh
you could?
yeah, 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 yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of mistakes we made. I'll tell you about one mistake. We opened, we opened this restaurant, and I won't say where we opened it, but we opened this restaurant. It opened first week, $100,000. First week it did, and it was a Popeyes. In 8 months, we closed that restaurant, and um, so we're like, okay, what happened? Opening week, $100,000, and then you go and you close that restaurant. And we were sitting in a meeting, and another Popeyes franchisee asked us, like, what happened? Your opening was one of the highest openings in the area, and then you closed in like 8 months. And we told the guy, you know what? We spent $1.2 million to learn what we did wrong. He said, if
Mm,
you want to cut a $500,000 check, I'll tell you what it is, what mistake we made. But yeah, I mean, a lot of mistakes, and usually it's the demographic that we get wrong.
mm,
There's a lot of times you think you are in the right neighborhood, but if there's more Polish people, you see, you see the demographic on a piece of paper, but then if that demographic is more Jewish population, then they're not eating your chicken. If that even in Hispanic population, there's certain demographic that doesn't eat that much chicken. There's another demographic that eats a lot of chicken. And then if you're in Polish neighborhood, certain days they don't eat chicken, so your sales drop on those days. So
right.
this comes with the learning. So any brand that you choose, you have to know exactly who is eating that food, and then you have to make sure that you open your restaurant in that demographic that actually eats your food.
Right. Right. And it's interesting because not all the time, like a lot of people feel like, oh, I just need to be in an affluent neighborhood. That's not always the case, and if, depending on what the franchise is, and even outside of the food business, it has a lot to do with, mostly middle class or lower middle class that's going to use a lot of the concepts that are available out there in franchising. So it's not always the best, most affluent neighborhood. So that is an interesting point.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll give you one small example. We were sitting with the Popeyes management team at one particular time, and they wanted us to open up a restaurant in a certain neighborhood. So we pulled up the demographic that neighborhood just because of the density of population. Because sometimes people think if this area is densely populated, you can open up a restaurant there. So, and again, I'm not trying to be racist. I'm just trying to prove a point. Okay. So we put up the demographic: 95.9% white population, and we told Popeyes, there's no way Popeyes is going to be successful here. We're like, we're not investing $2 million to open up a Popeyes here. And they're like, why? It has like 70,000 people in 2 mile radius. Why won't you open up a restaurant here? So I asked the guy, and he was a white gentleman. And I asked him, I'm like, when was the last time you ate fried chicken? And he looked at me and he didn't know what to say. And he was like, maybe 6 months ago. I'm like, if you ate fried chicken 6 months ago, do you think this demographic is coming there 2 times a week to eat fried chicken? So how are you going to survive? And they didn't know what to say.
Right.
So yeah, so it's not the density of population. So very important to know your demographic.
Yeah, there's no question about it, especially when it comes to food. Food is very fickle, and it ebbs and flows. What I like is like the concepts that you're in are established concepts. They've been around, and essentially they should know who their demographics are. I get kind of scared when people come to me with concepts that are new. We're going to try this, this dumpling thing, or we're going to try this grilled cheese thing, or, whatever. And it's like, I love the idea and the numbers look good, but, here today, gone tomorrow. I'm afraid of that. So I want to get into something that's been around, that has a track record, if I'm going to do it.
And sometimes also, like, these companies get bought and sold all the time. And sometimes people buy the companies who don't know their product. They just, because private equity people have money and they go and they buy this company, but they might own a burger concept, and burger concept is completely different from a chicken concept. And they've been successful in burger concept, and they think, oh, we've been successful in this, let's go buy a chicken franchise, and now we have burger franchise and a chicken franchise, and we can do the same thing in chicken franchise. And that's not how it works.
Right. No, it's so true. Great statement.
Burger, you can take a burger franchise and, okay, 50,000 population, put a burger franchise there, because everybody eats burgers.
Right.
It's not, you're black, white, Hispanic, Indian, you're going to eat burgers. But chicken, fried chicken, that's not the case.
Yes, and you're in Pizza Hut too, right?
Yeah.
But I think, would you say, in your estimation, that pizza is the most like widely eaten food among everyone?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Everybody eats pizza. Every age eats pizza. Our demographic eats pizza. So one of the safest businesses to do is to get involved with a pizza franchise if you know how to do operations. Pizza, yeah, pizza is very much dependent on our operations, and in today's day and age, very much dependent on delivery, how your product is being delivered to the customer.
That's interesting. I know I have friends that own just regular, startup pizzerias in the neighborhood, and they do great. It's the number one most eaten food in America is pizza, and there's no seasonality. As you said, the demographic, there's no barrier to it. Everybody eats pizza, and so it is a good thing. But as what I tell people is like, listen, you have to understand also, you're open 7 days a week. It's mostly a night business, or at least afternoon to night. And you have to be okay with that. That's not for everybody, especially when you're coming out of a 9 to 5 job and you're used to having weekends off and all that. Now, all of a sudden, your life is upside down. And so you have to be ready for that, especially in the first couple of years as you're building it. How about advice for people? Like if they're sitting on the fence and they're like, should I buy a franchise? Should I keep my job? Um, well, do you have any advice to people to get over that hump?
So, uh, you know, been through a lot of people. I mean, we have almost 4,000 people working for us. So we've hired a lot of people, trained a lot of people, promoted a lot of people, made a lot of people operating partners because, if you spend 3, 4, 5 years with us and you're good, we don't want to let you go. So we give you a piece of the business. And, what I'll tell people is before you get involved, if you have a job and before you get involved with any concept, any kind of food franchise, go and spend 2 to 3 weeks in a restaurant. Take that vacation, find a friend who owns a restaurant, go there and spend a couple of weeks. Get a taste of what you're going to get into because from outside it looks very rosy, but once you get inside, you're on your feet 12, 15 hours a day, sometimes 7 days a week. Your cook doesn't show up. You got to fry that chicken, you got to make that pizza. Your delivery guy doesn't show up. You got to get into the car and deliver that pizza.
Right.
Your cashier doesn't show up. You're standing on the cash register, putting your headphone on and taking drive-through orders. So, you got to know what you're getting into because it is not a sexy business. It's not an easy business, but it's a very rewarding business. In food business, in franchising, or any business, food business that you get into, it's all about building a system. I always say the best manager is the guy, a manager who goes and stands in the back and rolls up his hands and is standing like this and doesn't even lift a finger, and the whole restaurant is working in sync, and he doesn't have to do anything. And that's why you call that person a manager. You're not a worker. You're not working in the restaurant. You're a manager. So you're directing people. You're managing people. And the best managers are who stand and just watch everything happen. And once in a while, guide somebody, train somebody, work as an expediter, or something happens, talk to a customer, do table touching. But if you have to work, you're not a good manager.
Mm.
So you got to build a system. So once you get involved in the food business, the quicker you build a system, the sooner you can get out and expand.
Mm.
But if you are working and you're constantly working in a restaurant and you're not creating a system, you cannot get out of that restaurant to expand. So you got to create a system.
Absolutely. But doesn't the franchise come with a system? I mean, that's what everybody says. So um don't they give you kind of the playbook and then you just have to execute it, or is it more to it than that?
So they give you procedural and operational knowledge. They tell you, so it's a business for dummies, and I am a dummy, right? I don't want to reinvent the wheel. They give you a guideline to follow. How much dough to use, how many number of pepperonis to put on a pizza, how much cheese to use, you know, um, how long you need to fry that chicken, what kind of seasoning to use, but they don't actually tell you how to build a system. They give you operational background. They will tell you, okay, you know, during lunchtime we gotta have this many people. During dinner time we gotta have this many people, but they don't actually tell you how to manage a restaurant.
Okay.
So that system, that management system, has to be created by the owner, and and sometimes people are too power hungry or too control free, and that actually holds you back sometimes. And
Hmm.
the more knowledge you give to the people in the restaurant, the more teachings the more stuff you teach them, the better it is for you. Because um, if you are in that restaurant and you are required to be there for the restaurant to work, you're never getting out of that restaurant,
Right.
and you won't be able to expand. So the sooner you teach everybody what to do, how to do it, train them well, pay them well, so that you can get out and create a second restaurant, and then the third restaurant, and then the fourth restaurant, the better for the owner. So yes, franchises do give you a base, but they only give you operational base. I mean, the procedural base.
I see. That makes sense. Because a
The
lot of
management structure you have to create.
right, the management structure. That's great. Well said, and very insightful. And I want to go back to this employee thing. So one thing I hear from a lot of people is like, "Oh, I'll buy a franchise, but I'm afraid of the fact that I can't hire anybody." How do you feel about that? Or do people want to work? Everybody's like, "Oh, nobody wants to work anymore."
Yeah. Well, there are challenges. Usually, um, franchise or food business is somebody's first job, uh, and that's how they enter the workforce. Especially school kids, and they get a part-time job, and then slowly, they go through school, and then they go to their regular job. But um, if you find the right people, um, everybody's looking for an opportunity. Everybody's looking for a growth path. Everybody's looking for a future. And once you find good people, you need to hold on to them.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you hold on to them? You need to train them, and you need to show them an opportunity. So if you find a good manager, you train that good manager and tell the good manager, hey, I'm going to open second restaurant. I'm going to open third restaurant. I will need a DM. So you could be my district manager. So yes, you're running one restaurant today. Tomorrow when I open second restaurant, then you help me manage two restaurants. Then I'm going to do third restaurant. Then you hire two managers under you or three managers under you, and you become a district manager. So now the person sees a growth path, because the the reason people leave you is because they don't see the future. They don't see the growth. They are not trained properly. They feel frustrated at the job. So you create an environment where people are happy, they want to come to work, and they see a growth opportunity for them. And a lot of times, like, when we go to the restaurant and, they see what we have done, they would comment like, man, I want to do something that you have done. And I always tell them, I said, absolutely, if I can do it, so can you. But you just have to do certain things. And if you're willing to do that, I'm happy to work with you. And
Mm.
once people have hope and they can see a path, they will stay with you. So
Wow.
yes, it is a challenge, but once you find right people, and you will find right people, because everybody is looking for work. So I haven't found somebody who doesn't want to work. Right? Yeah, people say they don't want to work, but the reason why people don't want to work is because they feel frustrated at a job. If you
Right.
make the environment in such a way that you train them well, they're not frustrated. It's a clean restaurant, happy customers, no customer is coming and yelling, or you're getting that phone call from a customer that, oh, you messed up my food, and my food sucks, or something like that. You create a good environment, everybody wants to stay, because you need to work to get that paycheck.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I think one of the takeaways for me as I'm listening to you is you said that there's great satisfaction that you get out of being a business owner, but I think part of that is being able to help people envision a future, and you provide this future to those who want to partake in it. You offer people these opportunities, which is something that grew. You probably didn't go into it thinking that was going to be the thing, but that kind of grows out of it,
Yeah.
you know?
So, everybody wants to work in a happy environment, right?
Hmm.
And everybody wants to feel that they're part of a team. So we always say that, yeah, I mean, whenever you want to do something in a restaurant, make sure you communicate. You're talking to everybody in a restaurant. So everybody should feel a part of the team. Sometimes we just tell the cooks, okay, all you do is stay in that corner and just keep frying the chicken. Just send me the chicken on time. But nobody's asking that guy, how are you doing? How's your family? How are your kids doing? Or what's going on? So spend 5 minutes in the morning, go around, talk to people. As a manager, you see the cook has been, you're doing, $10,000 days, and the cook is like sweating and he's churning out that chicken. The manager's job is to go and say, hey man, are you okay? Do you need any help? can I help you with something? You want a break? You want somebody to come in? You want a glass of water or whatever? That small empathy, you have to be empathetic with people. You need to show them that you care, right? And you genuinely need to care. You cannot fake these things. And that's why, it's hard to find good people, but when you find people like that, you keep them.
Yeah, love that. Oh man. So changing gears a little bit, what is like the best piece of advice you've ever gotten in your career?
Uh, so I'll talk about food business, right? Since we are on a franchising podcast. Um, uh, so what I would tell people who are in food business is, if you are not going to eat the food that you're making, please don't serve it to people. I- If if you if you feel like, no, I'm not going to eat today in my restaurant, um, chances are customers don't want to eat there also.
Hmm.
So, if your chicken is sitting on that shelf, even though your brand says that keep that chicken for 30 minutes, but it's been 25 minutes and the chicken is still sitting there, but the brand tells you that you need to keep it for 30 minutes, it's been 25, throw that chicken, put the fresh chicken. If it's been sitting there for 25 minutes and a customer walks in, tell the customer, do you mind waiting for 5 more minutes? I'll bring some fresh chicken for you. That customer will wait because the customer knows that you're getting that they're getting that fresh chicken and not the old chicken, and then that customer becomes your lifelong customer
Right.
because you're giving that special attention to that customer. You're telling him, I don't want to serve you that chicken that's been sitting there for 25 minutes.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you, Tom, we have taken over restaurants that does $6,000 a week, $7,000 a week, and today those restaurants they do $60,000 a week.
Wow.
And the only difference is clean restaurant, great customer service, and good food.
Hmm.
So food, if you're in a food business, the quality of the food makes a lot of difference. Sometimes we cut corners like, oh, it's been 5 days and I haven't changed the oil, but the oil still looks good. Let me stretch it for one more day because I'll save a little bit of money. But that customer who eats that chicken that's been fried in an oil that's 6 days old, they can feel it
Hmm.
because it's consistency that matters, right? So even sometimes we cut corners like that, and because of profitability, but understand it's that customer who's eating that food is the one who's bringing bringing the profitability to you.
Right, right.
So and if the consistency is not there in the food because you're cutting the corners, you will lose customers. So the best piece of advice I ever got is, if I'm not going to eat the food that I'm serving, please don't serve it to anybody.
Love that. I love that. What's one myth about franchising or fast food that you could break right here and right now?
So I have a couple of them.
Okay.
One thing is, people think that, so especially new people who want to get into a franchise, they think that oh, uh, Taco Bell is a big brand. If I reach out to them, nobody's going to return my call. So let me go for a tier two or a tier third brand because they are the only people who will return my call or who will even look at my resume because I don't have any experience. That's not the case. Have that courage. Um,
Mhm.
my light goes off. I want to keep the lights. Have that courage to reach out to these brands. These brands are looking for good people. If
Right.
you have that confidence that, yes, you want to get into this business and you're a good operator, don't be afraid to reach out to a big brand. Don't settle for second tier or a third tier brand, if you really want to get in the good business. So that's a myth out there that, oh, Taco Bell people are only looking for private equity firms or these big developer guys or something like that. But that's not the case,
Right.
especially with these big brands. And I'm not just saying Taco Bell or Popeyes or these big brands. If you're a woman and if you're a minority, it's a plus point because they're looking for franchisees who fall in these two categories.
That's
So you
correct.
have a huge chance of being approved as a franchisee if you are in these two categories.
Yep. I believe that. Great
So,
advice.
so yeah, so that's one of the myths that I think exist out there. Second myth is I need a lot of money to get into the business. Um, I didn't have any money when I got into the business. So you just need to have that faith and belief, and the money will come. It's very easy to get money from the banks. The SBA programs, there are a lot of investors out there. You can partner with people who have money. There's a lot of opportunities out there. So just don't hold yourself back because you don't have money to get into business. You
Hmm.
know, just make a decision, money will come.
Yeah, I agree. So that yeah, I just had a discussion with the Small Business Administration, one of the like bosses, literally this morning, and he was telling me about all these programs they have. Like I never even knew. I've been doing this for 19 years. I had no idea how many programs they're dying to give loans out. They're dying to give out loans.
Yeah,
Um, and so it's really so that's interesting. That's a great point. Thank you for saying that. And I've just loved the whole thing of basically you're saying go for your dream. Don't call number three. Go right to number one. Start there. And so I love that. That's very
yeah.
inspirational.
So when I was in banking, my fellow bankers were always afraid to talk to the CEO of the major company. Like, if I have a big customer, they would say, "Oh, no, don't talk to the CEO. They're busy," or "Don't talk to the owner. Talk to this guy, who works for him." And I always used to say that owner is the decision maker. Don't be afraid to give him a call. And 90% of the time you call the owner, he has all the time in the world to talk to you, and he's the decision maker. And um, you know you can reach to him, and he will guide you in the right direction.
Right.
So don't be afraid to make that phone call and reach out to the biggest brand out there. If you want to get into the business, why not one of the biggest brands out there?
Right. Absolutely. And even like you taking the time to do this, you have 150 franchise units. I didn't think that you would take my call. So I appreciate that you did. This has been
It's
great. This is fantastic. So much great insight here. And I appreciate your time, Dinesh. I'm eternally grateful, and we will talk more in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Would love to help out your listeners, and anything that I can do to show people that anybody, this is America's land of dreams. All you got to do is have that courage to get out of your comfort zone and take that leap of faith. And
Mm,
if you do, so they say, right, there's no right or wrong decision in life. You make a decision, then you work towards it, so it turns out to be the right decision, right? So just have that faith, just take that plunge, and everything will work out.
it will work out. You'll never look back.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
Thank you,
So
my
there's
friend.
no bank right now that can offer me a job. My aeronautical degree is for sale if somebody wants to start.
Right? Isn't that funny? Like it's crazy. And the those big companies, you're just a number, and they can tell you we love you, you do great work, but once they have to start cutting heads, doesn't matter. They lay you off.
Absolutely.
That's so
Got
great.
laid off a couple of times in my career.
Yeah, yeah. There's no reason to. You don't have to. So the other big takeaway I think here is like anybody could do it. I mean, I did it. I don't have a great education. I just decided to make the change. I know so many people that have, and they have great success, but you have to work at it. It's not easy. It's definitely going to be tougher than, showing up for a 9 to 5 job, pushing papers, but the rewards are so much greater, not only financially, but just self-esteem, self-satisfaction. That's really what you're buying.
Yeah, and then you can touch so many lives, right? So today, if we have 4,000 people working for us, we created job opportunities for 4,000 people. When you're at a job, that's not the satisfaction that you get. And when you see, these people who come into your business and then they work with you and then you make them a partner and suddenly, their life changes. And I just attended wedding for one of our operating partners. He got his daughter married in Portugal, Lisbon. So, it's like, it's amazing to see their life transformation, and that gives you immense satisfaction. So
Yeah.
the greatest satisfaction, or what I call definition of success, is not how much money you make. It's how many lives you touch, how many people are better off because you live. That's according to me, that's the definition of success. So
I agree with you. And it's because you make the decision to make the change and get out of the status quo, and then magical things happen.
yep,
There's no formula. I can't prove this mathematically. But if you take the chance, the universe comes to your back and helps you with finding money, with finding employees, with finding the right spot. All this stuff happens because you said, I have courage, and the universe says, I like people that have courage. We're going to help you.
absolutely, and that's how this whole world works.
Exactly how it works. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, again, thank you so much for this. This has just been one golden nugget after another. So I can't wait to listen to this podcast myself and take notes.
Thank you for reaching out, Tom. Appreciate it. Thank
Now, my pleasure. Thanks for your time. And again, we'll speak more, and I
you. Sure,
appreciate it. Have a great one.
sure. Thank you. You too.